Charles Oliveira versus Beneil Dariush is a banger of a fight. Charles Oliveira, we got to start with Du Bronx. This guy is 33-9, and this is his first fight coming off of a loss since 2017 against Paul Felder. He's a sick striker. He's a sick grappler. To get more into detail, which I am right now, Charles Oliveira, his weapons on the feet, he's got elbows, he's got power in his hands. He made Justin Gaethje taste the car battery for the first time in his life. When you're talking about Charles Oliveira, this guy, he's got so many weapons on the feet. He's got such a diverse weapon arsenal on the feet. He's got elbows. He's got flying knees. He throws flying elbows occasionally too. He's got nice knees in the clinch. He's very diverse on the feet. And it's very complementary to his well-rounded game because on the ground, he's even better. This guy has the most submissions in UFC history. We know all these stats about him, but I got to talk about them because he gets me a semi-hard on. And he also has the most UFC performance bonuses in UFC history. And obviously, with the jiu-jitsu, I just mentioned he has the most submissions in UFC history. So obviously, he's absolutely a killer on the ground. He literally can do whatever he wants to on the ground with any submission. I'm not going to list all the submissions he has on his record, but he has a fucking like a knee slicer or a calf slicer, sorry. Like who does that? His heart has improved dramatically since he has had a child. He went on an 11 fight win streak, lost to Islam Makhachev, no shame in that. He loves fighting at a high pace, loves pushing the pace, loves putting you on the back step, and he is a killer and he's a force to be reckoned with, and he really wants that title back. He wants that title back, guys. Now, with saying all of this, the odds makers have severely disrespected Charles Oliveira by making him a plus 100 underdog, and because of one reason and one reason only: Beneil Dariush. Now, when we're talking about Beneil Dariush, this guy is 22-4-1. He's on an 8-fight win streak right now. Very slept on because he doesn't talk a lot of shit on the mic. He's not the best marketer. Whatever, we're over it. He's fighting Charles Oliveira. Now we're having fun. He has 5 wins by knockout and he has 8 wins by submission of his own. Beneil Dariush, when we're talking about Beneil Dariush, we're talking about a guy who's not afraid to brawl. We're talking about a guy who's a fucking elite grappler. Have you guys watched that Mateusz Gamrot fight? I had to rewatch it. It was my 3rd time watching that fight back. I watched it right before this video for research, and goddamn, this guy, I feel like his grappling is slept on for some reason. He is so good and he's so like fluid. He flows in the grappling. He flows with his opponent beautifully. It's very sick to watch if you can not understand because I don't know what the fuck's going on, if you can appreciate it, because I definitely appreciate the shit out of that as a one-stripe wipeout who sucks balls and gets his ass kicked every day, but loves it. He's a knockout artist. He throws spinning back fists. He's not afraid to do anything. He's not afraid to go into the grappling department. He's not afraid to test his grappling against any opponent. You know, he did so against the roadkill version of Tony Ferguson, which isn't that impressive, but also Diego Vieira. And then also, he's going to do the same thing against Charles Oliveira. That's what I was going to say, which is going to be a huge part of this fight because I predicted perfectly, inshallah, that Islam Makhachev, if he knocked down Charles Oliveira, he's going to follow up and finish him on the ground. And he did so perfectly. So shout out to everyone that supported me on that video. That was like literally the peak of my life. That was like a crazy time. I thought it was on DMT. But I think it's the exact same thing with this fight. I think that Beneil Dariush, if he drops Charles Oliveira, which is very likely, Charles Oliveira gets hit a lot in every one of his last fights. He's been dropped in every one of his last fights. Michael Chandler, literally, Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje, Islam Makhachev dropped you. What? I think Beneil Dariush is very capable of dropping Islam Makhachev as well. That's very likely that's going to happen. And also Beneil, he's got a nasty left leg. He throws his rear leg a lot to the legs, to the body. Doesn't really throw it to the head, but I'm sure he's capable of doing that. You just don't really see it out of him a lot. So for my prediction for this fight, I think Beneil Dariush is going to take it, guys. Ever since this fight was announced, the first thing that came to my mind, my that's so Raven moment, was the fact that I thought Beneil Dariush was going to win. I Googled up the odds. I saw he was the favorite. I was like, what the fuck? I was shocked. I'm shocked Charles Oliveira is the underdog in this fight. But it just shows that the odds makers really realized who Beneil Dariush is as a fighter. I don't know why, but the first thing that comes to mind why I think he's going to win is because he's physically stronger. It just seems like he's physically stronger and he's going to be able to defend Charles Oliveira in the grappling department very well. I know obviously in a fight, strength isn't the most important thing, but when you're talking about two guys who are elites of the elite, and one guy's maybe a little bit stronger and he can defend and just, he knows his positioning well. He knows where to control the hips. I feel like it's going to make a huge difference in this fight. And I feel like Charles Oliveira being the guy with elite jiu-jitsu, I feel like he's going to be okay with being on his back and throwing up triangles. I feel like Beneil Dariush is going to throw that shit away to the side. And I feel like he's going to, gather up that control time and edge Charles Oliveira in a decision win.